So I'm going to share from Mila Schneiderman. There's a class called Inner Fire. And when we think of a means to an end, like the idea that running brings endorphins or music brings spirituality because, the soul could express, feel free, we don't have to separate the means and the end. How do we know that it's actually godliness? When it leads to joy and comes from true feeling naturally. And it brings like a natural attunement. And as long as it is aligned to Hashem's laws, when we aren't forcing the outcome or worshiping the means, we know that we're on the right track. We don't have to be ashamed of our authentic expression. When you cry, when you shriek, when you sleep, it's like pooping. There's nothing wrong with, our responses. In fact, issues come from the suppression of emotions. Even when we're fully feeling and acknowledging the feeling, it's not necessary to act on it, like when we're angry. And just to heal the ideas of the wife. The man is the head, the woman is the neck. She guides the whole spiritual outlook and view of the house. We don't objectify the feminine. We don't and we don't internalize demeaning the feminine, because Hashem told Abraham, whatever Sarah tells you, listen, his wife. It's a contaminated worldview or a mental illness when a man abuses or discriminates, humiliates, or suppresses a woman. Even sometimes men try to find things in the Torah to twist for their agenda. But that's because of lack of a proper role model, lack of proper education. There is no Torah basis for mistreating women, and the Geula actually unfolds through the woman. Depth, capacity. Women have the depth, the capacity, the perception, prophecy, and understanding. So I wanted to make this real for myself, and I went to a workshop. I went to a 12-step meeting, and I wanted to workshop this. And so I was thinking about how we get grace from those who are more secure, self-accepting, like we might call them a sponsor. We say in Hebrew a mashpia, a therapist, recovery peers, elders, sages, even though they're more or have been manipulative, controlling. In other words, people outside of me who could teach me, like let's say I don't want to be controlling or manipulative. They talk about it in such a way with grace that I could have grace too. Why not? If they can, I can. Also balance, because this idea of not oversharing so that, which feels yucky, brings expectations, but also not feeling alone in the dungeon, like I'm the only one, or don't belong, and I need to hide and keep secrets buried inside. The idea of saying things aloud is to keep it at arm's length. We don't identify it overly. We don't overly identify with it. And finally, in terms of relationship with a higher power, it's about being allowed to pray, commune in my own way, having an other, quote unquote, other just to turn to, where there's proof of an everlasting presence that's always available. Because people come and go, right? Versus the idealizing of a fellow human with unreasonable, unrealistic expectations because of the fear of emptiness, the aloneness. With Hashem, it's a foundation relationship, to be patient and tolerant of others. And the difference is the way Hashem is with me, and the process, the way God was with me, the process, the differences. And leaning on God is my redemption. Learning from other cultures and religions makes me grow, not only in length, on my own direction, but also if you collapse it, there's vertical and horizontal. So we could say the vertical is straight. So not just straight, but also across, in width. And so I looked at this in my own life. I was feeling very powerless to make someone be loving toward me, a man. And anytime I tried to be loving, I felt he was getting a fix rather than trying to foster connection. I felt he doesn't care about my feelings, my needs or desires, and I would have tantrums to express my hurt and the pain, and I would block, but it didn't change anything. I felt stuck. I felt Hashem was telling me, this is a good person for you. I sent this man to you, and you should give him a chance. You should look at him as, your partner. And so I just felt trapped. I would resort to pray about him being punished, that karma would cause him suffering. But because I felt it takes two. It seemed like he just came across unwell or annoying, he wants to, but that he needs to be loved, but he didn't want to do good to, everything has to be on his terms, and there was like a disability in healthy communication. And I felt that many times he rejected and abandoned me because of his insecurities. And I felt like he weaponized my love to hurt me and deprive me and play games. So maybe he should get hate, right? Why should he get love? And so I had to really go in deep and trust Hashem, my higher power, doesn't want me to suffer. And that this will have him learn the hard way to not take his authority issues and not Hashem, for this man to learn the hard way, his issues of defiance, addiction with a woman, authority. Because I felt like maybe he sees me as prey, but I'm a fierce warrior and my allegiance to Hashem would protect me. And I felt like maybe I'm just elevating from this level and Hashem wants me to be like a good wife to him only to like earn my true husband. It's not him. Once I start with the maybes, the doubts though, the lack of certainty made me feel tempted to be with him, even though I don't feel fulfilled, respected, even though at the time I wasn't feeling loved, respected, appeased, cared for, fulfilled, liked, or cherished. And I realized that the certainty that I'm with the right one feels like the best way to have a happy life, to not feel lonely and unfulfilled. But I didn't feel like he was the right one yet. Since the time of I wrote this a while ago, but since I wrote this, there's been a lot of moments where I felt like Hashem was showing me that patience was worth it. But at the time, I felt like, he struggles with things that I want. And either he'll improve, he has improved, either he'll continue to improve, or I realized I could always ask him, bless me with a new replacement man who's going to be better than him, like who's going to treat me with the way I want to be treated. So first of all, I felt like he wasn't able to give me the pet names I want or keep to agreements like that we made about communication and sharing. And I felt like he wasn't acknowledging my bravery, my willingness, my kindness, and reciprocating. I felt I wasn't getting enough positive feedback. He didn't start the closest and initiate resolution. I wasn't getting the benefit of the doubt, apologies or amends, or like my birthday or special days. I didn't feel I was getting special treatment. I wasn't really feeling he wants to appease me or make me happy. And, felt like he wasn't supportive. He wasn't providing generously. I didn't just want when he was tired at night. I wanted him to be like during the day connecting. And it seems like he just wants to always sweep the issues under the rug, avoidantly, dismissively, and not open up emotionally. But the truth is, there's a lot of good things, and I feel sometimes I'm learning that instead of focusing on the 1% negative, to look at the good. Anyway, he's not my husband yet. We didn't get married, and he lives in another state. But just making this real, what we're learning. And Rabbi Nir Menussi on the Arizal, he says, actually, when it comes to doubts, there's the idea of the unknowable head, keter. There's 5 doubts surrounding faith. One is, and we learn about it from the patriarchs. We learn about it from the characters of the Torah. One is God. Abraham reached the level of this doubt without any idols or forces other than God. So in order to get to the unknowable head, like to get to the highest level, to get to this level of faith, you have to get through the doubt. So that's one doubt, that there is God. Then inside yourself, then we have his son Yitzchak, Isaac. He wasn't allowed to leave the land. He had nowhere to go. He had to dig deep to get wells. So this is when we have the doubts in the self. And when we get through that, we get to the next level of faith. Then in terms of partner, because this is like when we want certainty, right? This is all about wanting certainty. Like I mentioned, wanting the certainty. Understanding that there's doubts that we have to live with in order to get to the certainty. So then we have Jacob, the son, who with a partner and wife. He didn't want Leah at first, the woman he was given. He had worked for Rachel, but she's the one who helped him fulfill his potential, the first wife. And then we have his son, Yosef. And this is when his brothers, his peers, they sold him, then they came, they needed him, he saved them. This idea that the other, like your brother, your sister, your peers, they're all limited and fallible. And then we have the world, or this is symbolized by all the children, which is the nation of Israel. And this is the fact that we have to have the kind of faith and certainty from the doubt of the heart, because there's nothing in this world that is, it's like the idea of a broken heart. There's nothing in this world that's forever. Everything is impermanent. There's nothing that's infinite, right? So as we get through this, one by one, these doubts, we actually can get to the level of Keter, the higher level. All right, okay. Like the higher level where there's real certainty. That's what we really want. Okay, all the best. Bye-bye.